Welcome to my kitchen. In today's episode, we're going to be making a lasagna with a new twist on an old family favorite. Today we're making roasted butternut squash lasagna. We're going to start off by preparing the squash for roasting. You take the squash, you cut off both ends, and you carefully slice it down the middle. Here we go. Okay. Now once this is done, you scoop out the pulp, so you don't have to deal with that. To get your squash ready for roasting, you take a rimmed baking dish. We're going to brush each slice with extra virgin olive oil. We season these slices with a little salt and a little pepper. After that, we flip them over. Now they're ready to go in the oven, which I've preheated to 400 degrees. We're going to bake it in the oven for 1 hour, and these should be soft and easy to work with after that time. While the butternut squash is baking in the oven, I filled a pot of water so that I can begin to cook the lasagna noodles. In the water, I add about a tablespoon or so of extra virgin olive oil, a pinch of salt, which is going to give the water flavor and also help to keep the lasagna noodles separate. Now that the water's ready, we'll wait for this to boil. In the meantime, I'm going to brown some butter. The recipe calls for 1 stick of butter chopped up, and we're going to melt it in this pot. Now the butternut squash lasagna has 3 steps. It has the step that you prepare the filling, the step to make the bechamel sauce, and the step to actually assemble it with the cooked lasagna noodles. Now that the butter is melted, I'm going to bring it over and pour it in a bowl, and this will become part of the mixture for the filling. Ahead of time, I made some and roasted some butternut squash. What we're going to do is scoop out the inside and put it in a blender. We're going to puree it first. It should come off, being that it's baked, it should come off pretty easily. Now we're ready to puree the butternut squash. Get all the air pockets out. Okay, it looks like this is the proper consistency for our filling, and I'm going to pour this into a bowl. Okay, now the fun begins. We're going to make our butternut squash filling. To this 3 cups of roasted butternut squash, I'm going to add a cup of Parmesan, 1 tablespoon of Amaretti Cookies. We're going to add a 1/4 cup of finely chopped sage. I use fresh sage. Mix that in. And after that, we're going to put in our butter. Let's get a teaspoon of salt. My last ingredient for the filling is fresh ground nutmeg. You need a 1/4 teaspoon and then some, which I'm going to microplane into this mixture. Now we're going to make the bechamel sauce. We begin by creating a roux. We've melted 6 tablespoons of butter, and while that's melted, we're going to add 1/4 cup and 2 tablespoons of flour. And we just keep stirring until all the lumps are gone. Slowly add more flour, and this is creating our roux. Okay, this is looking good. I think I'm going to keep stirring it, and then I'll set it on the side for a minute or 2. I'm going to add 6 cups of milk to another saucepan and bring this milk to a slow simmer. To the whole milk, I'm going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt and a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, which I've pretty much pre-measured. So here we go. All right, this milk looks like it's ready to go. Just stir it a little bit. I'm going to begin to add the roux, a little at a time. Blend it, which will then thicken this up. Okay, this bechamel looks like it's ready to go. I can hear the water boiling, and so I think I'm going to finish the lasagna. It's going, it's good. I'm going to put the lasagna noodles in the water. This is about 6 quarts of water. Let it cook uncovered for about 8 minutes. I'll stir it a little. I don't think it's going to stick together. I think I have plenty of olive oil in there. And we'll just let this go for about 8 minutes. We want the pasta al dente because when you put it in the lasagna, it will continue to cook with the other ingredients that you add to the dish. We're ready to drain the pasta. Now, to stop it from cooking, we're going to put the pasta in an ice bath so that it won't stick together and it'll be ready to handle when we assemble the lasagna. Okay, now we're ready to assemble the lasagna. We have our bechamel, we have our cookies, the Amaretti cookies that are ground, we have our Parmesan cheese, our butternut squash mixture, and our pasta. We begin by putting like a 1/2 cup of bechamel and line the bottom of this 9x13 baking pan. Now on top of the bechamel, we're going to put our lasagna noodles, overlapping just a little bit. Now once that's done, we'll add about 3/4 of a cup of the butternut squash filling. And then we're going to put a tablespoon or so of the crushed Amaretti cookies on top of this. That'll give it a little sweetness and texture. Now we put another layer of macaroni. And as I said before, I'm going to overlap them a little bit. Now on top of this layer, we'll put another cup of bechamel. And on top of this layer, we're going to put 2 tablespoons of some more Pecorino Romano. And sometimes I put 3. However it looks nice, it's all covered up. Okay, we're going to finish this off with just a little touch of sage. We'll kind of decorate the top of this. This baby is ready to go into the oven. We're going to set the oven at 375 and it's going to bake for 1 hour. Okay, it's been about an hour. I think this baby's ready. Oh boy, this looks and smells delicious. This is an awesome dish on its own with a side of salad, or as I like to do it, I make this a side dish for Thanksgiving. And if you make this, you're going to impress your vegetarian friends. We're going to plate this now and get a taste of this roasted butternut squash lasagna. I wish you were all here so you could smell it and taste it. But I want to thank you very much for watching this episode. And stay tuned for more episodes of MJ Cooks Italian. Buon Appetito.